Today, we shall see on the topic immunity and innate and acquired immunity. What is immunity? Immunity is a response against any foreign molecules or pathogens, and a body has the capacity to distinguish a self from a non self molecule. There are two types of immunity. One is innate and the other one is acquired immunity. So, what do you mean by innate immunity? It is a non specific or natural immunity which we have acquired by birth. And what is acquired immunity? It is a specific or an adaptive immunity which we have got after an infection or through vaccination. The acquired, there are two types, that is active and passive, and in which you have natural and artificial immunity. So, in this image, you get a brief idea of the innate immune system as well as the adaptive immune system, which we'll be actually studying in detail. To give you an overview, the innate immune system is the response by our body, and we have certain barriers which will try to protect from the pathogens. And the adaptive immune system, once the pathogen enters into our body, they respond to those pathogens by cell mediated or humoral immune response. So, now we shall see about innate immunity. So, as I told you, innate immunity is obtained through birth. It is non specific and natural and gives us an immediate response to pathogens. There are different factors that are involved in innate immunity, which includes physical and mechanical factors, biochemical factors, cellular factors, genetic factors, body temperature, and inflammation. So, first we shall see about physical and mechanical barriers. So, what are different physical barriers we have? First one is skin. The skin has a layer called as stratum corneum, which acts as a mechanical barrier and protects our body from the entry of all the pathogens. Second, we have the mucous membrane in different parts of our body which secretes the mucus, and there is an interaction between the epithelial cells and the mucus, thereby preventing the entry of the pathogens. Third is the cilia. The epithelial cells which are present in the nose and other parts of the body, they are lined with cilia, and their main role is to trap the microbes and to kill it. The fourth one is cough and sneeze, which we often encounter when we see or when we come across any foreign particle like which is in the air. So these foreign particles, when it tries to enter into our digestive system or the respiratory system, we just either cough or we sneeze by pushing away the foreign particle. Next one is peristalsis. Suppose if a microbe happens to enter through our digestive system, by peristaltic movement, these microbes are pushed outside, either resulting in diarrhea or loose motion. Therefore, the microbes will move outside from our body. And other barrier is the tear, saliva, and the urine, which also tries to remove the microbes by certain secretions. Next, we shall see in this image how the different parts of the body try to respond to the pathogens. As I told you already, we have the cilia in the nasopharynx region, which remove the particles that are breathed in. Same way, we have the tear glands, which will produce lysozymes. Then in the trachea, we have the mucociliary escalator, which tries to remove the pathogens trying to the respiratory system. The skin acts as a physical barrier to infection. In the stomach, we have a different pH, which will try to denature the proteins and kill the microorganisms. And by the peristaltic movement from the duodenum or from the stomach to the duodenum, there is a rapid change, a change in pH also, which tries to destroy the pathogens. And in the urinary tract, there is a flush of all the unwanted waste materials which is removed through the kidney. Next, coming to the biochemical factors. The biochemical factors includes the secretions of the skin, that is the sweat. The sweat has an acidic pH of 5.5 and it is salty. Therefore, it is bactericidal in nature. Next, we have the sweat and the sebaceous glands. They secrete lactic and fatty acids which act as antibacterial and antifungal, and there is an alkaline nature because there is an absence of glands. Wherever there is absence of glands, there is an alkaline gap. Next is the secretion of the digestive tract. In the gastric juice, we have HCl, which is secreted by the oxygenatic cells, and they are microbicidal in nature. In human milk, we have lactoferrin and uramic acid, which are again bactericidal. The nasal secretion and the saliva, we have the mucopolysaccharides, and when any virus happens to enter into the nose or the mouth, these secretions try to inactivate the viral particles. A very good example of this biochemical factor is lysozymes, which contains N-acetylmuramidase. It is present in the tears, saliva, WBC, nasal secretions, and other tissue fluids except CSF, sweat, and urine. And they are except CSF, so they have a bactericidal reaction. So it gives you an overall view of the biochemical factors which we have discussed, like the sweat, the muco which contains acidic pH, mucopolysaccharides, interferons, lysozymes, lactic acid and fatty acid, HCl in gastric juice, lactoferrin uramic acid in human milk, CRP, that is C-reactive protein wherever there is an infection. Then in the semen we have spermine and zinc. Then the bacteriocins and colons and other acids which are bactericidal. Propyridine, which is present in the serum along with complement and magnesium ions, they help in the removal of the foreign particles. So what is the role of the interferon? So it is a non-toxic glycoprotein. It blocks the viral mRNA transcription, enhances a natural killer cell activity, and can also kill the cancer cells. The complements, they are nothing but the enzymatic proteins present in serum. Whenever there is an antigen antibody complex, it activates the complements and then results in phagocytosis. Propyridine, it is a protein in serum which along with complement and magnesium ions, they can lyse the gram-negative bacteria. Then you have bacteriocins, colons and acids. They are the secretions of the bacterial flora which are present mainly in the intestine and the various other parts of the body, and they prevent the entry of pathogenic organisms. The spermine and zinc which is present in sperm or the semen, they are also bactericidal. And the CRP, that is the C-reactive protein, which actually increases in our body when there is an infection, it will act as an opsonin. It can bind to the bacteria, activate the complement, and thereby facilitate phagocytosis. Next is the cellular factors. The cellular factors includes the process of phagocytosis, which is done by the leukocytes like the neutrophils, basophils, and the eosinophils. The macrophages, which are the cells of the mononuclear phagocytic system and derived from the monocytes, they migrate to the tissues. They form macrophages and try to engulf the pathogens and destroy the pathogens. The natural killer cells, they are the non-phagocytic lymphocytes, and they are also trying to kill our pathogens. And natural cytotoxicity, which is mainly the cytotoxic cells, they try to kill the cancer cells as well as the viruses. So we can see this image of the cellular immune system where you have the macrophages, the dendritic cells, natural killer cells, basophils, eosinophils, the mast cells, the T cells. So they all play a major role in destroying the pathogens that enter into our body. Next is about the genetic factors, and this differs from species to species or from individual to individual. Next is we see about the body temperature. See, normally whenever there is a fever, we have to understand there is an infection. Our body tries to respond to the infection by increasing the temperature in our body. So it is called as pyrexia. It is also called as pyrexia, where there is an accelerated physiological process which is trying to destroy the pathogens. It also stimulates the production of interferons and reduces the viral infection. And the other one is inflammation. Here the cellular and vascular changes will take place. Simple example is the mosquito bite. So whenever there is any pathogen entry, they try to respond by inflammation. As you come to the end of innate immunity, we shall see what is about acquired immunity. So this immunity is not inherited from parents and is highly specific to a particular antigen. Therefore, it is called as specific immunity. So again, you have two types: active, which is against a natural infection. When there is development of resistance, it is called natural, or when you are giving a vaccination, it is called artificial. Passive, when the antibodies we are receiving and then it is trying to respond to it, then it is called as passive. And mother to baby, it is a natural passive. Or again, from when there is patients, we transfer the antibodies to patients, then it is called as artificial passive. So what is humoral immunity? It is of two types. One is humoral and cell-mediated immunity. And what is humoral immunity? So when a pathogen enters into our body, the B cells, they start producing antibodies against the specific antigens and thereby protecting against the pathogens. That is called as humoral immunity. What is cell-mediated immunity? Again, you have the T cells. They are cytotoxic T cells. They recognize the infect cells and again they release granzymes which trigger the cell to become apoptotic. Then we have the helper T cells that will activate the macrophages, produce cytokines and again induce the proliferation of B and T cells. Therefore, both humoral immunity and cell-mediated immunity can take place. Thereby, bacteria, fungi and viral cells are being either eliminated and our body gets the protection. So, this is an overall image of the innate immunity what we have studied so far. So it is telling about the different physical barriers, the chemical barriers, about the humoral immune response as well as the cell mediated immune response. So we can see how antibodies are responding, T cells are responding, cytokines and chemokines, then the systemic effect like fever, inflammation, antimicrobial substance, then the killer cells. Then also we have the macrophages, the dendritic cells. So all these are cellular response to kill or eliminate the pathogens. So here we can see how the humoral immunity is highly specific. So we have an antigen which is acting as a receptor. Then we have the antibody, they are coming and binding to the receptor and then they are trying to remove the pathogens. I hope you have understood or got a clear idea of innate and acquired immunity. Thank you.